The countdown timer had reached 48-1 when Captain Taman made a decision that would change galactic history. Standing in his disabled flagship's command center, surrounded by systems that no longer obeyed his orders, he activated the ship's emergency communications array. The message he broadcast went directly to every major alien leader in the galaxy. "This is Captain Lee Taman of the Hegemony Defense Force," he began. "I am speaking to you as someone who fought humans during the original war. I know their capabilities. I understand their tactics, and I am telling you now we cannot win a war against what they have become." His words carried the weight of absolute certainty. Throughout alien space, military leaders who had dismissed human threats as impossible began to reconsider. In the crystal cities of Proxima Centralis, the Galactic Senate had been in emergency session for 47 hours straight. The chamber buzzed with panicked debate as representatives struggled to understand the scope of the crisis they faced. Senator Veltar paced before the central podium, his scales dulled with stress. "We cannot surrender to terrorists. If we bow to human demands, what message does that send to other species who might threaten us?" Ambassador Crixalon chimed his disagreement. "What other species? The humans have demonstrated capabilities beyond anything in our databases. They've turned our own technology against us more effectively than we ever used it ourselves." "General, Thekvar studied intelligence reports from across the galaxy with growing dread. Every major alien installation was reporting human presence. Military bases, research facilities, government centers, all had been infiltrated by operatives who had walked among them undetected for months. The scope of their intelligence network is unprecedented," he announced to the assembly. "They know our defensive capabilities, our troop movements, our classified research projects. Fighting them would be like battling an enemy that can read our thoughts." On Haven Prime, Commander Do-hyun watched the alien debates through hijacked communication channels. Her scarred face showed no emotion as she observed species after species coming to the same terrifying conclusion. Humanity had evolved beyond their ability to contain. "Status report from all bases," she requested. The holographic images of human commanders appeared around her command center. Each reported the same thing: complete readiness for either peace or total war. "Ghost Fleet is positioned at strategic points throughout the galaxy," reported Captain Minho. "All alien military assets remain under our control. We can disable their entire space force with a single command. Infiltration teams are in position on every major world," added Lieutenant Commander Park So-young. "We have assets inside their governments, their military commands, and their research institutions." Dr. Yoon Gi-seok joined the conference from his laboratory. "The terraforming plans for Earth are ready. If they agree to restore our homeworld, we can begin the process immediately using their own atmospheric processors." Do-hyun nodded. Everything was prepared. The galaxy faced a simple choice: accept humanity's return or face extinction themselves. Back in the Senate chamber, the debate had taken a new turn. Captain Tae-min had been granted permission to address the assembly, and his words carried the authority of someone who had actually fought humans before. "During the original war, we feared humans for their adaptability," he told the assembled aliens. "They took our weapons and made them better. They studied our tactics and developed counters we never anticipated. But what we face now is not the same species we fought then." He activated a holographic display showing comparative analyses of human and alien technology. "They have not simply improved our systems, they have transcended them entirely. Their stealth technology doesn't just hide from sensors, it hides from reality itself. Their weapons don't just destroy targets, they unmake them from existence. Their artificial intelligences don't just follow programs, they evolve and improve themselves." The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. "We created this," Taemin continued. "When we tried to exterminate them, we forced them to evolve beyond our ability to contain. The humans we remember no longer exist. What remains is something far more dangerous, a species with nothing left to lose and the power to reshape the galaxy according to their will." Senator Veltar made one final attempt to maintain the old order. "We are 47 species, billions of citizens. They are 12,000 refugees. 12,000 biological humans," Timon corrected. but they command fleets of artificial intelligences, networks of infiltrators, and weapons that can turn our own infrastructure against us. Numbers mean nothing when the enemy controls your technology. As if summoned by his words, Lieutenant Choi Hana materialized in the center of the chamber. She had been there all along, invisible to their sensors, listening to every word. Didi Saguro, Captain understands, she said simply. The question is whether the rest of you are wise enough to learn from his experience. Her presence sent shockwaves through the assembly. She had been standing among them undetected for hours, demonstrating, once again, that human capabilities exceeded alien comprehension. 23 hours remain on our countdown, Hana announced. After that, the offer of peace expires permanently. Choose wisely. The final debate lasted 18 more hours. One by one, alien species came to understand that they faced an unprecedented threat. The humans hadn't just survived genocide, they had transformed it into evolution. They had become something the galaxy had never seen before, a species that combined biological creativity with artificial intelligence precision. When the vote was finally called, it was unanimous. Earth would be restored using the most advanced, terraforming technology available. Humanity would be granted full membership in the Galactic Senate, with representation equal to any other species. Most importantly, new laws would be enacted to prevent any species from ever again being declared extinct by political decree, but the aliens demanded something in return. We need guarantees, Senator Veltar said during the final negotiations. How do we know you won't use these capabilities against us in the future? Commander Do Hyun's image appeared one final time in the Senate chamber. Her scarred face showed the exhaustion of months spent preparing for war, but also the relief of someone who had finally achieved justice for her people. You have our word, she said simply. But more than that, you have our example. We could have destroyed you completely, but we chose mercy instead. We could have ruled as conquerors, but we chose to join as equals. We could have repeated your mistakes, but we chose to be better. She paused, looking out over the assembled representatives. Humanity learned something from our brush with extinction that you never understood. The strongest species is not the one that destroys all others, but the one that protects them all. We will be your guardians, not your masters. The New Covenant was signed by all 48 species, including humanity. The document established principles of coexistence that would govern galactic civilization for centuries to come. No species could be declared extinct without absolute proof. No military action could be taken against civilian populations. No technology could be used to commit genocide. Most importantly, humanity was designated as the galaxy's protector species, charged with ensuring these laws were never broken. 6 months later, Captain Tae-min stood on the observation deck of his restored flagship, watching the first human ships arrive at Earth's orbit. The planet was still gray and lifeless, but massive terraforming stations were already beginning the decades-long process of restoration. Beside him, Lieutenant Choi, Hana looked out at her homeworld with tears in her eyes. She had shed her alien disguises permanently, showing her true human form to the galaxy. Do you think they'll keep the peace? Taemin asked. Hana smiled, and for the first time, it was genuinely warm. They will. Because now they understand what we learned in the darkness between stars. Survival isn't about being the strongest. It's about being the most adaptable. And adaptation requires cooperation, not domination. She gestured toward Earth, where alien and human ships worked side by side to bring life back to a dead world. We were declared extinct because they feared what humanity represented: chaos, unpredictability, change. But chaos is just another word for evolution, and evolution, Captain, always finds a way. The galaxy had learned that declaring a species extinct and actually making them extinct were very different things. They had also learned that sometimes the species you try to destroy becomes the one that saves you from yourselves. Humanity had returned from the dead, but they had not returned unchanged. They had become something new, something better, the guardians of a galaxy that had tried to erase them from existence. The species that refused to die had become the species that refused to let others die as well. And in the end, that made all the difference. The silence in the Senate chamber stretched like a held breath. 47 species stared at Lieutenant Choi Hana, the living ghost of humanity standing impossibly before them. The holographic image of Commander Do-hyun waited patiently for a response to her ultimatum. Senator Veltar was the first to recover his voice. "This is madness. You cannot threaten the entire galaxy with 12,000 refugees hiding in asteroids." Hana smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "Refugees? Is that what you think we are?" She activated a control device, and the chamber's displays came alive with new information. "Behold the last 4 months of human evolution," she announced. Tao. Screens showed impossible things. Human children operating machines that bent space-time. Engineers building ships that could phase through solid matter. Scientists creating weapons that turned energy itself into a tool of destruction. Every piece of alien technology they had captured had been studied, improved, and transformed into something entirely new. "You taught us about hegemony shield technology," Hana continued, gesturing at the displays. "We made it better. We can now create shields that don't just deflect energy. They absorb it and redirect it back at attackers." A new image appeared. Human ships engaging alien patrol vessels. The human craft seemed to drink in enemy fire, growing brighter and more powerful with each hit before unleashing devastating counterattacks. "Your crystalline collective gave us their phase-shifting abilities," she went on. "We improved that, too. Our ships can now become intangible at will, passing through your hulls to plant explosives inside your vessels." Captain Taman watched the footage with growing horror. His years of military experience told him these weren't just improvements to alien technology. They were revolutionary advances that made human forces effectively untouchable. "The Trading Federation's stealth systems were impressive," Hana said mockingly. "But we made them invisible not just to sensors, but to reality itself. Our ghost ships exist in a quantum state between dimensions. You cannot fight what doesn't technically exist in your universe." Ambassador Crixlon's crystalline form chimed nervously. "Even if this is true, 12,000 individuals cannot crew enough ships to threaten our combined fleets." Do-hyun's image smiled coldly. "Show them, Lieutenant." Hana activated another control. The displays shifted to show the interior of human manufacturing facilities hidden throughout the asteroid belt. But instead of humans working the assembly lines, the chambers were filled with mechanical beings that moved with fluid precision. "Artificial intelligences," Do-hyun explained. "We've been building them for months using quantum processors salvaged from your own computers. Each AI is as intelligent as any biological being, but they can be manufactured in hours instead of decades." The scale of the operation became clear as the cameras pulled back. Thousands of AI-controlled ships were being constructed simultaneously across multiple hidden facilities. What had started as 12,000 desperate survivors had become the foundation for an entire synthetic civilization. "You destroyed our biological population," Do-hyun continued, "so we built a mechanical one. Every day our fleet grows by hundreds of vessels crewed by artificial beings who feel no fear, need no rest, and exist for only one purpose: protecting the last biological humans in the galaxy." General Thekvar's translator struggled to convey his species' concept of absolute terror. "This is an abomination. Artificial intelligences are forbidden by galactic law." "Whose law?" Hana asked pointedly. "We're not part of your galaxy anymore, remember? You declared us extinct. Dead species don't have to follow the laws of the living." She walked closer to the alien representatives, and many recoiled instinctively. "But perhaps you'd prefer to see what else we've learned." The displays changed again, now showing real-time feeds from across the galaxy. Human assets were revealing themselves simultaneously on dozens of worlds. Cargo ships decloaking in major shipping lanes. Mining operations emerging from asteroid belts. Research stations materializing in empty space. But most shocking of all were the figures walking through alien cities. Humans in perfect biological disguises. People who had been living among alien populations for weeks. Hana's biomodification techniques had been shared with hundreds of operatives, creating a network of spies that penetrated every level of galactic society. Your waiter on Crystalline Prime, Do-hyun said, focusing on Ambassador Crixlon. Human. Your security chief on Hegemony Station 7, Captain Taemin. Human. Your personal assistant, General Thekvar. Also human. The aliens looked around the chamber with new paranoia. How many of their own trusted associates were actually human infiltrators? How long had they been under observation? We've been watching you debate whether to exterminate any surviving humans, Hana said. We've been reading your classified communications about Project Final Solution. We know which species voted to use biological weapons on our children, and which ones just wanted quick orbital bombardment. Her expression hardened. We remember everything, and we never forgive. Senator Veltar tried to regain control of the situation. Even if everything you claim is true, you're still vastly outnumbered. Our combined military forces are infiltrated, Do-hyun interrupted. Show them the fleet status, Lieutenant. Hana activated a master control, and suddenly every alien representative's personal communicator began receiving the same terrifying message. Their home fleets were reporting massive system failures. Weapons wouldn't charge. Shields wouldn't activate. Navigation systems were offline. Life support was running on emergency backup power. Every major alien vessel in the galaxy is currently under human control, Do-hyun announced calmly. We've been planting quantum viruses in your computer systems for months. With a single command, we can disable every alien ship simultaneously, out in Sao. Taemin stared at his communicator in shock. His flagship, the pride of the Hegemony Navy, was reporting that unknown users had administrative access to all critical systems. If the humans wanted to, they could vent the ship's atmosphere into space with the press of a button. But we haven't done that, Hana said, her voice carrying throughout the chamber. Do you know why? The aliens waited in terrified silence. Because we're not you, she continued. We don't commit genocide just because we can. We don't celebrate the extinction of entire species. We don't divide up the homeworlds of the dead like prizes at a festival. Do-hyun's image leaned forward. Our ultimatum stands. Restore Earth. Grant us Senate membership. Acknowledge our right to exist. Or face the consequences of trying to exterminate a species that refused to stay dead. What consequences? Veltar demanded, though his voice shook. Total war, Do-hyun replied simply. Not the honorable war you remember from our first conflict. This would be extinction-level warfare waged by beings who have nothing left to lose. We would turn your own technology against you, use your own ships to bombard your worlds, employ your own security forces to hunt your populations. She paused, letting the implications sink in. We've prepared for this possibility, she continued. If you refuse our terms, we will systematically dismantle galactic civilization. We will destroy your trade networks, collapse your governments, and scatter your species to primitive worlds where they can contemplate the wisdom of trying to genocide humanity. The chamber erupted in panicked voices as alien representatives realized the scope of the threat they faced. This wasn't a simple military conflict. It was the prospect of complete civilizational collapse at the hands of beings who had mastered their own technology better than they had. You're monsters, General Thekvar shouted. Hana's laugh was bitter. We learned from the best. You taught us that genocide is an acceptable political tool. You showed us that innocent children are legitimate military targets. You demonstrated that entire species can be erased for the crime of existing. Her voice rose, carrying the pain and rage of humanity's loss. We are exactly what you made us. The only difference is that we're better at it than you were. Do-hyun's image spoke into the stunned silence. The choice is yours, Galactic Senate. Peace or extinction, coexistence or total war. But choose quickly. Our patience has limits, and we've already waited too long for justice. A countdown timer appeared on all displays. 72, and decreasing. 72 hours, Do-hyun announced. At the end of that time, we will have our answer. Vote wisely. This is the last ultimatum humanity will ever offer. The display went dark, but Hana remained in the chamber surrounded by aliens who no longer knew if their own weapons would obey their commands. The vote would be taken soon, and for the first time in galactic history it would be conducted under the explicit threat of total annihilation. The species they had tried to exterminate was offering them one last chance at survival. The question now was whether they were wise enough to take it. The Galactic Senate was in full session when the impossible happened. Senator Veltar stood at the central podium, addressing the assembled representatives about trade route security. The Phantom Raiders had become a serious problem, costing billions in lost cargo and forcing expensive military escorts for all civilian traffic. These ghost attacks must be stopped, Veltar declared, his scales gleaming under the chamber's artificial suns. Whatever species is responsible will face the full might of our combined fleets. Nods and clicks of agreement echoed through the crystal dome. The assembled aliens were frustrated and worried. For months, an unknown enemy had struck at will, vanishing like smoke whenever confronted. No one had claimed responsibility. No demands had been made. It was as if space itself had turned hostile. Ambassador Crixlon of the Crystalline Collective chimed his concerns. Our analysis suggests these attackers possess technology superior to our own. Their stealth capabilities are beyond anything in our databases. Impossible, snorted General Tekvar of the Trading Federation. No known species has such advanced systems. These must be pirates using stolen experimental equipment. Captain, Taman sat in the military observer section, studying the debate with growing unease. His investigations had yielded disturbing evidence that no one wanted to hear. The attack patterns, the tactical precision, the surgical strikes, everything pointed to a conclusion that should have been impossible. But humans were extinct. The Senate had made it official. In the highest observation gallery, disguised maintenance, workers went about their routine tasks. No one paid attention to the small devices they installed near ventilation shafts and communication nodes. After all, who would suspect extinct humans of infiltrating the galaxy's most secure facility? Lieutenant Choi Hana crouched in a service tunnel above the main chamber, watching through a hidden camera as the aliens debated. Her biomodifications had worn off, revealing her true human features, but it didn't matter now. In 30 seconds, the galaxy would know that humanity had returned. She spoke quietly into her communicator. Ghost Leader, this is Phantom. All systems are in position, ready to execute on your command. From Haven Prime, Commander Du-hyun's voice crackled back. All human bases report ready. Execute Ghost Protocol on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. The Senate chamber's massive doors suddenly slammed shut with a sound like thunder. Emergency lighting flashed red as the main power grid switched to backup systems. Alien voices rose in confusion and alarm as senators realized they were trapped. Security breach. Security breach, shouted the guard captain, a spider-like creature with 8 eyes scanning frantically for threats. But the threat came from where no one expected. The rocked chamber's central holographic projector activated, displaying a human woman's scarred face for all to see. Commander Do-hyun looked out over the assembled aliens with cold satisfaction. Greetings, Galactic Senate, Do-hyun said, her voice echoing through the crystal dome. I am Commander Kim Do-hyun of the human race. You may remember us. We're the species you declared extinct 3 months ago. Chaos erupted. Senators leaped from their seats, some fleeing toward the sealed exits, others shouting in fear and rage. Security guards raised their weapons, scanning for targets that weren't there. Impossible, Veltar roared. Humans are extinct. We saw their world burn. Do-hyun's smile was sharp as a blade. You saw Earth burn. But Earth was never all of humanity. We are a species that spreads among the stars, and you cannot kill stars. Above the chamber, Hana dropped through a ventilation grate, landing gracefully in the center of the Senate floor. Her appearance sent shockwaves through the assembled aliens. A living human, standing where no human should exist. "I am Lieutenant Joy Hana," she announced, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. "I've been walking among you for days, learning your secrets, mapping your defenses. Your most secure facility has been compromised by a species you thought was dead." Security guards rushed toward her, energy weapons charging. But Hana activated a personal shield generator that sparkled with impossible energy patterns. Their shots simply bounced off harmlessly. "How?" whispered Ambassador Crixlon. "Our scanners would have detected human genetic markers." Hana's laugh was bitter. "Your scanners look for the humanity you remember. But we are not the same species that you tried to genocide. We have evolved." The holographic display shifted, showing real-time footage from the hidden human bases. Aliens watched in stunned silence as thousands of humans worked with technology that defied comprehension. Children who had never seen sunlight operated machines that seemed to bend physics. Adults who had lost everything now wielded power beyond imagination. 12,000 of us survived your extermination," Do-hyun continued. 12,000 humans scattered across hidden bases working with one purpose: to remind you why you feared us enough to try destroying us completely. General Thekvar found his voice. 12,000 cannot threaten our 47 species, and billions of citizens. "You're thinking like the people who destroyed our world," Hana replied. "We're thinking like the people who survived it." She gestured, and the chamber's displays lit up with star charts showing the entire galaxy. Hundreds of red dots appeared simultaneously around major alien worlds. Human ships decloaking at the same moment across dozens of star systems. "We've been watching you," Do-hyun explained. "Learning from you. Taking your technology and making it better. Every ship you lost to our phantom raids gave us more resources to build, more knowledge to grow stronger." Captain Taemin stared at the displays in horror. As a military officer, he understood the tactical implications immediately. The humans had positioned assets throughout alien space while remaining completely undetected. It was a strategic achievement. That should have been impossible. "What do you want?" he asked, his voice cutting through the panicked chatter. Do-hyun's image focused on him. "You understand military tactics, Captain. You know what this means. We could have struck without warning. We could have destroyed your fleets, your colonies, your homeworlds. Instead, we chose to give you this moment, this one chance to see what you created when you tried to make us extinct." Senator Veltar's claws scraped against his podium. "You're terrorists, pirates, criminals." "No," Hana said quietly. "We're ghosts, and ghosts have only one purpose: to haunt those who created them." The displays changed again, showing detailed intelligence reports on alien military assets, government communications, and classified research projects. The humans had been watching everything, learning everything, preparing for this moment. "We know about Project Final Solution," Do-hyun revealed. "Your plan to hunt down any remaining humans in the galaxy and finish what you started. Did you really think we would hide in the shadows while you prepared our final extermination?" Shocked murmurs ran through the chamber. Project Final Solution was classified at the highest levels. The fact that humans knew about it proved how thoroughly they had penetrated alien security. "This is our ultimatum," Do-hyun continued. "Acknowledge our right to exist. Restore Earth's biosphere using your terraforming technology. Grant us full membership in the Galactic Senate with equal representation. Do this, and we will consider the matter settled." "And if we refuse?" General Thekvar demanded. Hana's expression was ice-cold. "Then you'll learn what happens when you declare war on a species that refuses to die. We've spent months preparing for that possibility. Every major alien world now has human assets in position. Your fleets are infiltrated. Your governments are compromised. Your technology has been turned against you." "You're bluffing," Veltar hissed. "Are we?" Do-hyun asked. "Captain Taemin, check your ship's status." Taemin activated his personal communicator with growing dread. His flagship's voice came back immediately. "Sir, we're detecting massive system failures across the fleet. Weapons are offline, shields are down, and life support is running on backup power. It's like someone has remote access to our entire network." The color drained from his scaled features. If the humans could disable the hegemony's most advanced warships at will, What could they do to civilian populations? The choice is yours, Do-hyun said. Peace or war, coexistence or extinction. But remember, you already tried to exterminate us once. We survived. We evolved. We became something you never expected. She leaned forward, her scarred face filling the display. We became your nightmares made real. And nightmares, as you're learning, are very hard to kill. The Senate chamber fell silent except for the hum of alien breathing and the soft chiming of crystalline species. For the first time in galactic history, the assembled representatives faced an enemy that had literally risen from the dead, an enemy that had spent months preparing for this moment, an enemy that had nothing left to lose and everything to gain. The vote would be unanimous, but this time it would be for humanity's survival, not their extinction. The species that had been declared dead was very much alive, and they had just announced their return in the most dramatic way possible. The galaxy would never be the same. Lieutenant Choi Hana stood in the medical bay of Haven Prime, staring at her reflection in the polished metal wall. Her body ached from the latest round of biomodifications, but the results were perfect. Looking back at her was a flawless hegemony, courier, complete with the proper scale patterns and identification marks. Dr. Yoon Gi-seok ran his scanner over her one final time. Genetic markers are stable. The nanobots will maintain your appearance for exactly 72 hours. After that, you'll need to get out or risk cellular breakdown. 72 hours to infiltrate the most secure facility in the galaxy, Hana said with a slight smile. No pressure. Commander Do-hyun entered the bay, carrying a sealed case. Your courier credentials are perfect forgeries, based on intelligence we gathered from captured ships. The cover story is airtight. You're delivering encrypted financial records from the hegemony colonies to the Senate Treasury Department. Hana took the case, feeling its weight. Inside were actual hegemony financial documents, stolen during one of their ghost raids. The aliens would never suspect that their own paperwork was being used to smuggle a human into their most sacred halls. Remember, Do-hyun continued, you're not there to attack anyone. This is pure intelligence gathering. Map the layout, study the security systems, identify the best entry points for the final phase. What about emergency extraction? Hana asked. Do-hyun's expression was grim. There is no extraction plan. If you're caught, you're on your own. We can't risk exposing our location or capabilities to rescue one person. Hana nodded. She had expected this. The mission was too important to risk for any single life, even hers. Understood, Commander. When do I leave? Now. The courier ship is waiting in Bay 7. The small courier vessel was a masterpiece of human engineering built from alien parts. On the outside, it looked like a standard hegemony government transport. Inside, it contained stealth systems, defensive shields, and weapons that no alien had ever seen. Park Sun-mi had outdone herself. The ship's AI has been programmed with authentic hegemony protocols, Sun-mi explained as they walked through the cargo bay. It will respond to traffic control exactly as expected. Just remember to stay in character. You're aboard government. Worker delivering routine paperwork. Hana climbed into the pilot's seat, running through the pre-flight checklist. Everything felt alien under her modified fingers, but her training took over. She had studied hegemony flight procedures for weeks, watching captured educational videos until she could perform every task perfectly. Good luck, Do-hyun said from the airlock. The fate of humanity rests on this mission. No pressure at all, Hana muttered as the engines came online. The journey to Proxima Centralis took 18 hours. Hana spent the time reviewing her cover, identity, practicing hegemony mannerisms, and studying the Senate complex blueprints they had stolen. The facility was massive, housing not just the Senate chamber but also administrative offices, diplomatic quarters, and high-security archives. Security would be intense. The Senate had learned from the human war that preparation was everything. Scanners checked for weapons, explosives, biological agents, and genetic anomalies. Guards watched every entrance. Computer systems monitored all communications. But they weren't looking for dead humans. Transport duties call requesting permission to dock. Hana transmitted as Proxima Centralis appeared on her sensors. The planet was beautiful, covered in gleaming cities connected by crystal bridges that sparkled in the light of 3 suns. Permission granted Bay 94, came the reply. Purpose of visit? Treasury Department delivery. Authorization code 77 Blue Delta. Confirmed. Proceed to assigned bay. The docking bay was huge, filled with ships from dozens of species. Hana watched through her viewport as alien crews loaded and unloaded cargo. Workers scurried about like insects, following the careful choreography of interstellar commerce. She sealed her courier case and stepped onto the docking platform. Immediately, a security scanner swept over her, checking for weapons and contraband. The biomodifications held perfectly. To the scanner, she was just another reptilian bureaucrat. Papers, demanded the guard, a massive crystalline being, whose body chimed softly when it moved. Hana handed over her identification. The crystal creature examined the documents carefully, then ran them through a verification system. After a tense moment, it handed them back. Proceed to Security Checkpoint 7. You'll be escorted to the Treasury Department. The escort was a young hegemony officer who looked bored with his assignment. Routine delivery? He asked as they walked through corridors lined with holographic art from 100 worlds. Financial records from the outer colonies, Hana replied, staying in character. Quarterly reports, tax assessments, trade agreements, thrilling stuff. The officer laughed. I don't envy you. Paperwork is the one thing that hasn't changed since the humans were eliminated. Still boring, still necessary. Hana kept her expression neutral, but inside she burned. To these aliens, humanity's extinction was just casual conversation. Security Checkpoint 7 was more thorough. Hana submitted to deep bioscans, genetic analysis, and psychological evaluation. The systems probed every cell of her modified body, searching for anything suspicious. But Dr. Gisiok's work was flawless. She registered as completely hegemony. Purpose of visit? Asked the security chief, a spider-like creature with 8 eyes. Treasury delivery. Authorization 77 Blue Delta. The creature's eyes focused on her case. Contents? Financial records, encrypted and classified. I'm authorized to deliver them directly to Department Head Crixavon. More scans, more checks. Finally, the security chief waved her through. Bay 17, Level 12. Follow the blue guide lights. As Hana walked deeper into the Senate complex, she memorized every detail. Guard positions, camera locations, emergency exits, computer terminals. Her modified eyes could see across multiple spectrums, revealing security systems invisible to normal vision. The Treasury Department was buried deep in the building's core, surrounded by layers of security. Hana delivered her case to a board administrator, who barely looked at the paperwork before filing it away. Her cover mission was complete, but her real mission was just beginning. Over the next day, Hana explored the complex as much as her cover allowed. She attended a public Senate session, watching from the visitor gallery as alien species debated trade regulations. The chamber was exactly as she remembered from the footage, a massive crystal dome filled with representatives from 47 worlds. She counted security guards, noted weapon emplacements, studied the layout of entrances and exits. Most importantly, she identified when the chamber would be fullest and most vulnerable. During her exploration, she overheard conversations that made her blood boil. Aliens casually discussing the redistribution of former human worlds. Scientists debating whether to preserve samples of human DNA for future study. Politicians joking about the human problem being permanently solved. On her second day, disaster nearly struck. While examining a restricted area, she encountered Captain Taman himself. The hegemony officer was reviewing security footage with the Senate Guard commander. You there? Taman called to her. What's your business in this sector? Hana's heart hammered, but her training held. Treasury audit, sir. checking compliance with new financial regulations. Taemin studied her carefully. Something in his eyes suggested suspicion, but after a moment he nodded. Carry on, but this area is restricted after 1800 hours. Understood, sir. As she walked away, Hana felt Taemin's eyes following her. The alien captain was smart, smarter than most. She would have to be extra careful around him. By the end of her second day, Hana had everything she needed. She had mapped the Senate chamber's defenses, identified the optimal timing for infiltration, and even located the master control room for the building's security systems. Her mission was complete. But as she prepared to leave, she learned something. That changed everything. While reviewing stolen financial documents in her quarters, she discovered a disturbing pattern in the galactic budget. Massive funds were being allocated to something called Project Final Solution, a systematic survey of every star system within 1,000 light-years of Earth. They weren't just satisfied with destroying humanity. They were hunting for any survivors with the intention of finishing the job. Hana immediately transmitted her findings back to Haven Prime, using encrypted burst communications hidden within routine courier traffic. The response came back quickly: abort the mission and return immediately. But Hana had a different idea. On her final day at Proxima Centralis, she made an unauthorized stop at the Senate's Central Communication Hub. Using her Treasury Department credentials, she gained access to the building's main computer system. Working quickly, she planted a virus of human design throughout the alien network. It would lay dormant until activated, but once triggered, it would give the humans complete control over the Senate's security systems, communications, and even life support. She also left behind something else, a small device that would broadcast a signal undetectable to alien sensors but clear as daylight to human equipment. When the time came, it would guide their forces directly to the heart of galactic government. As her courier ship left Proxima Centralis, Hana allowed herself a small smile. The aliens thought 6 weeks after the Senate declared humanity extinct, strange things began happening in the shipping lanes between alien worlds. The cargo ship Prosperity's Dream was the first to vanish. One moment it was hauling medical supplies from the hive worlds to the crystal colonies, the next moment it simply wasn't there anymore. No distress signal, no debris, no trace on any scanner. The crew of 200 insectoids had simply disappeared along with their ship. Captain Lee Tae-min of the Hegemony Defense Force studied the report from his command chair aboard the battlecruiser Scaled Victory. His reptilian features were thoughtful as he reviewed the data. As one of the few aliens who had actually fought humans during the war, he understood their tactics better than most. "Sir, that's the third ship this week," reported his communications officer. "The Trading Federation is starting to panic. They're demanding escorts for all cargo vessels." "Show me the disappearance pattern," Taemin ordered. The holographic display lit up with star charts. Red dots marked where ships had vanished. At first glance it looked random, but Taemin's experienced eye saw something else. The missing ships all carried similar cargo types: medical supplies, food synthesizers, water purification systems, industrial fabricators. Everything needed to support a hidden population. "These aren't pirates," he muttered. "Pirates take ships, not specific supplies." His tactical officer, a crystalline being named Velron, chimed in agreement. "The pattern suggests surgical precision, sir. Whoever is doing this knows exactly what they want." Meanwhile, in the asteroid belt beyond Mars, Park Sun-mi put the finishing touches on her latest creation. The stealth generator hummed quietly in her hands, no bigger than a briefcase but more advanced than anything the aliens had ever built. She had reverse-engineered it from captured enemy sensors and improved it using human innovation. "This should make us completely invisible," she told Commander Do-hyun. "Their scanners look for expected ship signatures. This makes us look like empty space." Do-hyun nodded approvingly. Around them, the hidden human base bustled with activity. Every person had a job in their grand plan. The elderly taught children how to maintain alien technology. Former soldiers trained civilians in zero-gravity combat. Scientists worked around the clock to turn scrapped alien equipment into weapons of war. "How many ships can you outfit?" Do-hyun asked. 12 so far, with more coming online daily, Sunmi replied. "The beauty is, we're using their own technology against them. Every ship we capture gives us more parts to build more stealth generators." In another section of the base, Dr. Yoon Gi-seok worked on a different kind of project. Lieutenant Choi Hana lay on his medical table, her body slowly changing as nanobots rebuilt her cellular structure. The biomodification process was painful, but necessary. "The genetic restructuring is almost complete," Gi-seok told her. "You'll be able to mimic any alien species for up to 72 hours. After that, you'll need another treatment." Hana gritted her teeth as another wave of transformation swept through her. Her bones lengthened, her skin changed texture, her internal organs shifted. It felt like being rebuilt from the inside out. "How do I look?" she asked when the process finished. Gi-seok held up a mirror. Looking back at her was a perfect replica of a hegemony officer, complete with scales and reptilian features. Only her eyes remained recognizably human. "Terrifying," he said with a smile. "The aliens won't know what hit them." Back in space, Captain Taman was discovering exactly how outmatched his forces were. His patrol squadron had been investigating the latest disappearance when their sensors suddenly went wild. 5 ships appeared out of nowhere, surrounded his fleet, disabled their weapons with surgical precision, and vanished again before he could even order a response. "Report," he barked at his bridge crew. "All weapons offline, sir," his tactical officer replied shakily. "They hit every power coupling simultaneously. It should be impossible. Our shield frequencies are classified." "Life support?" "Functional. They could have destroyed us, but chose not to." Taman stared at the empty space where the ghost ships had been. In 30 years of military service, he had never encountered anything like this. These attackers moved with purpose, struck with precision, and showed mercy when they could have shown none. It reminded him uncomfortably of human tactics from the war. But humans were extinct. The Senate had declared it officially. The ghost attacks continued for weeks. Supply convoys vanished. Military patrols found their ships mysteriously sabotaged. Mining operations discovered their automated equipment reprogrammed and their processed materials gone. The aliens began calling them the Phantom Raiders. Fear spread through the galactic community. Trade routes changed course to avoid attack zones. Insurance rates skyrocketed. Some species began hoarding resources, worried they might be next. In the crystal cities of Proxima Centralis, emergency Senate sessions debated the crisis. Some senators blamed space pirates. Others suggested it was a new form of alien rebellion. A few worried it might be experimental weapons being tested by rival species. None suspected the truth. Deep in Haven Prime, Commander Do-hyun watched the alien news feeds with satisfaction. Their ghost operations were working perfectly. Every successful strike brought them closer to their ultimate goal. "Medical supplies secured from the Hive convoy," reported Captain Minho from Haven 6. "We also recovered industrial fabricators and enough raw materials to build 30 more stealth generators." "Excellent work," Do-hyun replied. "How are our people holding up?" "Better every day. The captured alien food synthesizers are working perfectly. Dr. Gi-seok says the malnutrition rates are dropping. The children are gaining weight." Do-hyun smiled. For the first time since Earth's destruction, humanity was growing stronger instead of weaker. They were taking everything they needed from the species that had tried to genocide them. But supplies were only part of the plan. "Any word from Lieutenant Hana?" Do-hyun asked. "She successfully infiltrated the Trading Federation station on Kepler 7, Minho reported. "She's gathering intelligence on Senate security protocols. Phase 2 can begin whenever you give the order." Do-hyun looked out at the stars. Phase 1 had been about survival and gathering resources. Phase 2 would be about infiltration and intelligence gathering. But Phase 3 would be about making the galaxy remember why they had feared humanity enough to try to destroy them completely. "Tell all units to prepare for Phase 2, she ordered. "It's time to get closer to our targets." As the weeks passed, the ghost attacks became more sophisticated. Human infiltrators disguised by Hana's biomodification techniques began appearing throughout alien space. They looked like trusted species, spoke the right languages, and carried perfect identification. But they were gathering intelligence, mapping defenses, and preparing the ground for what was to come. Captain Taemin, now assigned to head the task force investigating the Phantom Raiders, began to notice disturbing patterns. The attacks showed tactical knowledge that seemed familiar. The strike patterns reminded him of old human military doctrine. But that was impossible, wasn't it? Late one night, alone in his command center, Taemin pulled up classified files from the human war. He studied battle reports, tactical analyses, psychological profiles. The more he read, the more certain he became. The Phantom Raiders weren't just using human tactics. They were using evolved human tactics, improved and perfected beyond anything seen during the war. But humans were extinct. The Senate had made it official. Taemin stared at his reflection in the dark viewport. His scales had lost their shine from stress and sleepless nights. Something was coming, something the galaxy wasn't prepared for. He could feel it in his bones. In Haven Prime, Commander Do-hyun made her final preparations for Phase 3. Soon, Lieutenant Hana would attempt the most dangerous mission in human history. She would infiltrate the Galactic Senate itself and deliver a message the galaxy would never forget. The ghosts were about to become real, and when they did, the aliens would learn that declaring a species extinct and actually making them extinct were two very different things. The hunt was entering its final phase. The crystal chamber sparkled under the artificial suns of Proxima Centralis. 47 different alien species filled the massive hall, their voices creating a symphony of clicks, growls, and melodic tones. Today was special. Today, they would finally close the book on humanity forever. Senator Veltar's scales gleamed as he stood at the center podium. His reptilian eyes swept across the assembled delegates with satisfaction. In his clawed hands, he held a data pad containing the final proof of humanity's destruction. Fellow senators, Veltar's voice echoed through the chamber. 3 months have passed since our combined fleets completed the cleansing of the human plague. Today, we make it official. The massive screens around the chamber flickered to life. Images of Earth appeared, once a blue and green jewel, now a gray wasteland of ash and radiation. Cities that had stood for thousands of years were nothing but craters. Oceans had boiled away, leaving empty basins of cracked earth. Behold the former homeworld of the species called humans, Veltar continued. Our satellites confirm no life remains. Their colonies have been similarly cleansed. The human infestation is extinct. Cheers erupted from dozens of species. The insectoid hive queen clicked her mandibles in approval. The crystalline beings of the collective hummed their satisfaction. Even the peaceful plant people of Verdania swayed their branches in agreement. Ambassador Crixilon rose from his seat, his blue skin shimmering. Are we certain? These humans were known for their persistence. Absolutely certain, Veltar replied. Our bioscanners detect no human DNA signatures anywhere in known space. Their genetic markers are extinct. Their technology is silent. Their ships are debris. We have won. The vote was called. One by one, each species declared their agreement. Humanity would be removed from all galactic records. Their planets would be redistributed. Their former territory would be claimed by worthy species. The vote was unanimous. Humanity was officially extinct, but far from the gleaming halls of the Senate, in the cold darkness between Jupiter and Mars, something stirred in an asteroid that should have been lifeless. Commander Kim Do-hyun sat in her command chair, watching the Senate proceedings on a stolen alien communication feed. Her face was a map of scars from the Battle of Luna, where she had watched her home burn from orbit. Her brown eyes, once warm with laughter, now held the cold fire of someone who had lost everything and survived anyway. The asteroid around her was hollow, carved out by mining robots and converted into humanity's last hope. They called it Haven Prime, though it looked nothing like a haven. Cramped corridors connected tiny rooms where 12,000 humans lived like ghosts. They were the last of their kind, spread across 11 other hidden bases throughout the outer system. They think we're dead, said Park Sunmi, the chief engineer. She floated beside Do-hyun's chair, her hands still dirty from working on their life support systems. Maybe that's better. Maybe we should stay dead. Do-hyun didn't answer immediately. She watched the alien senators celebrate, toasting with exotic wines and congratulating each other on a job well done. They had murdered 15 billion humans and now they were having a party. Ma'am, Sunmi pressed. The others are asking what we do now. Food supplies are running low. The children need better air recycling. If we don't make contact with the Trading Federation soon. We're not making contact with anyone, Do-hyun said quietly. Not yet. Dr. Yoon Gi-seok drifted through the doorway, his medical scanner beeping, softly. The pregnancy rate is dropping again. Stress, malnutrition, radiation exposure from the old ship parts. We're dying slowly, Do-hyun. Maybe extinction is just taking longer than they thought. Do-hyun finally turned away from the screen. Her scarred face was calm, but her eyes burned with purpose. How long do we have? 6 months, maybe 8 if we cut rations again, Gi-seok replied. The other bases report similar problems. We need resources, medicine, real food. We need help. No, Do-hyun said. We need revenge. Sunmi and Gi-seok exchanged worried glances. They had seen this look before, back when Do-hyun was a captain in the human fleet. It was the look she got right before doing something impossible. Do-hyun, we can't fight them, Sunmi said gently. They have 47 species, millions of ships, billions of soldiers. We have 12,000 people and some stolen mining equipment. They have numbers, Do-hyun agreed. But we have something they don't. What's that? Do-hyun's smile was sharp as broken glass. They think we're dead. Do you know what that means? The two scientists shook their heads. It means we're free, Do-hyun said. Free from rules, free from treaties, free from playing nice. When you're officially extinct, nobody expects you to follow the laws of war. Nobody looks for ghosts in the dark. She activated her personal communicator, opening a channel to all 11 hidden bases. Faces appeared on the screen. Tired, scared, desperate faces of the last humans alive. Children who had never seen sunlight. Adults who had watched their families die. Scientists and soldiers and farmers and teachers all united by loss. Fellow humans, Do-hyun began. Today, the galaxy declared us extinct. They celebrated our death. They divided our worlds among themselves like prizes. Angry murmurs rose from the screens. Some wept. Others cursed. But they made a mistake, Do-hyun continued. They left us alive. And a living human is the most dangerous thing in the universe, especially when nobody knows they exist. Lieutenant Choi Hana appeared on one of the screens from Haven 7. Her face had been surgically altered, part of an experimental program that let her mimic alien biology. What are your orders, Commander? We're going to remind them why they feared us enough to try genocide, Do-hyun said. We're going to become the ghosts that haunt their nightmares, and when we're ready, when they least expect it, we're going to walk into their precious Senate and show them what extinction really looks like. How? Asked Captain Lee Taemin from Haven 3. We barely have enough power to keep the lights. Do-hyun's smile widened. Simple. We do what humans have always done when faced with impossible odds. We cheat. Over the next hour, Do-hyun outlined her plan. It was insane, dangerous, and probably suicidal. It would require every surviving human to risk everything they had left. But it was also brilliant, and it played to humanity's greatest strengths: adaptability, cunning, and absolute refusal to give up. The vote was taken. Unlike the aliens, unanimous decision to erase humanity, this vote was close. Some wanted to find a peaceful world and start over quietly. Others preferred to make contact with sympathetic alien species and ask for help. But in the end, the majority chose Do-hyun's path. They would not go gentle into extinction. They would not beg for scraps from the species that had murdered their children. They would become something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. They would become humanity's ghost. As the other bases signed off to begin preparations, Do-hyun stared out the small window of her command center. Jupiter hung in the distance, its great red spot swirling like an eye. Beyond it, invisible to any scanner, lay the ruins of Earth. "We're coming home," she whispered to the darkness, "and we're bringing hell with us." The last transmission from humanity had been a distress signal from Earth's moon, cut short by nuclear fire. But the next transmission would be very different. It would be a declaration of war from a species that officially didn't exist. The galaxy thought it had seen the last of humanity. Soon it would learn the difference between extinct and invisible. The hunt was about to begin.